Hello there, people. Welcome back, or welcome to the channel. I'm Anthony the Goalie. In our last video, we went over the top 5 teams I felt stayed even this offseason. They may have got a little better, they may have gotten a little worse, but for the most part, they stayed the same and will basically be the same team they were last season. This video will go over the top 5 teams I feel have gotten worse this offseason on paper. There are a couple of teams on this list that have been known to find gems through free agency, waiver wire. So, for the most part, what they've lost this offseason, they haven't replaced just yet, or may have, but we don't see it. So, let's get to the list. At number 5, we have the Winnipeg Jets. They are probably the AHL's smallest market team, and they need to be somewhat competitive to be profitable. And this last season, they got off to a great start and went all in, acquired players for their playoff run, and it didn't end the way they wanted. And as we knew, players acquired for this were lost. Tyler Toffoli was acquired from the New Jersey Devils, and in the offseason, he signed with the San Jose Sharks. Sean Monahan was acquired from the Montreal Canadiens, and in the offseason, he left to go to Columbus to rejoin former line mate Johnny Gaudreau. Brendan Dillon left, and he signed with the New Jersey Devils, and defenseman Nate Schmidt was bought out, but then he was signed by Florida Panthers. And they also lost was Berchot to the Chicago Blackhawks. And the only players of the name that ID brought back were goalies. We have Eric Comrie returning, I think for the 3rd time. He spent the past 2 years in Buffalo. And then you have Capo Kapanen, who played last season with the Sharks and the Devils. He had, for what this Sharks team was, he had decent numbers. I think he had pretty good numbers in the limited playing action he had in New Jersey last year. But those two will battle to back up Connor Hellebuyck, one of the NHL elite goalies. So when you have a player of that caliber along with Mark Scheifele, Winnipeg's in good hands, but they lost a lot and didn't quite replace it yet. Alright, at number 4 we have Tampa Bay Lightning. Some people may have them higher on the list, maybe even at number 1, with the loss of Stamkos. He was a heart and soul player. He owns most of the records in Tampa's history, and his loss will be felt in the locker room. He was their captain. He, at 34, was still producing at over a point per game. To help ease the loss of him, they acquired the rights to Jake Gensel and then re-signed him to a contract. He won't replace Stamkos and everything they lost to Stamkos. At least on the ice, he can produce. Not the Stamkos levels that we know of, but you never know with this lineup. They also lost Anthony Duclair and Matt Dumba, 2 players they acquired at the deadline for the playoff run. Duclair, he signed with the New York Islanders, and Matt Dumba, he signed with the Dallas Stars. They also re-signed Victor Hedman to a contract essentially this summer, possibly trying to avoid what happened this offseason with Stamkos. We don't know all the details, but it seems that way. But overall, Tampa's got a talented team. They've been dominant for so long. I mean, about Vasilevskiy, you have probably one of the top 3 goalies in the league right there. Braden Point, Hedman, Kucherov, there's talent all around there. They'll still be competitive. But we'll see where they stand at this upcoming season. Alright, at number 3, we have the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas should be the model for what any expansion team should be, starting off drafting right, making moves. First year, they were in the Stanley Cup Finals. Now, granted, I don't agree with how some players have been treated, but this team is excellent at balancing the salary cap and getting the players that they want or they need. But this offseason, they haven't replaced what they lost. Jonathan Marchessault, he signed with Nashville. That's a lot, offense lost and leadership. Alec Martinez, defenseman, he signed with Chicago, and that team looking for some veteran leadership. Chandler Stevenson, he signs with the Seattle Kraken, and Anthony Manta, a pickup at the trade deadline, he signs with the Calgary Flames. Now, Vegas did acquire Alexander Holtz and Akira Schmid from the Devils in exchange for Pat Cotter. I'm a big fan of Holtz. I think he can flourish there. But in what they brought in also Elo Samsonov, I don't see we'll see what Vegas does. It won't be as dangerous as last year, but Vegas, the cap, is finally starting to really catch up to them, and we'll see what happens with this team this year. At number 2, we have the Carolina Hurricanes. For years, Don Waddell held the Hurricanes to a certain standard and pay what players are worth. Don Wadden's no longer there. He's now with Columbus. And they have a list of players they lost. Teravainen, he went back to Chicago. Both Brent Pesce and Stefan Nazem signed with the New Jersey Devils. Brady Shen, he signs with the Nashville Predators in their off-season, just acquiring everything they need. And Tony DeAngelo, whose second stint with Carolina wasn't as good, he's still available to be signed. And then you have the Marty Necas situation, where he's a free agent. Is he going to stay? Is he going to be traded? If traded, what's the return going to be? They signed Sean Walker, and then they signed Jacob Slavin to extension. I mean, they've always been good at replacing what they lose from within. They've lost a lot this offseason. Let's see what happens with this team. I still see them being competitive, but that's a lot to lose and to regain. And at number 1, we have the Florida Panthers. Please hear me out on this one. On paper, they've lost a lot. Yes, they are defending Stanley Cup champions, but Sam Reinhart had a career year during his contract year. He key person to the offense. He was a priority to be resigned, and he was, along with Dmitry Kulkov. But they lost Brandon Montour. He was a staple on the defense for a couple seasons plus. And that will hurt them, definitely. But like I said, Flyers one of the teams that have been known to find gems where you think you couldn't. Albert Ekman-Larsson was one of them gems this last offseason. He was bought out by Vancouver. The Flyers signed him. He played a key part in the beginning of the season when Montour and Ekblad was hurt. And now he's off to Toronto. Also, Anthony Stolarz, he signed with Toronto. So now you will have, newly signed Chris Drieger after a couple of years in Seattle, battling out with Spencer Knight for the backup spot. Trade line pickups: Vladimir Tarasenko and Kyle Pozo. They're not going to be back. Tarasenko's time with Detroit, and Kyle Pozo will probably retire. He's still a free agent. It would be a great way to end his career with a Stanley Cup win like this. But Florida did add the Buquest brothers, Jesper and Adam. Jesper spent the past year in Boston, and Adam spent the past couple years in Columbus. Said Florida, on paper, Florida lost a lot and didn't really replace it. But Florida, with their system, players can fit in, and what I think, or anybody thinks, could be losses, and what they signed to replace it might be better than what they lost. You will know till the season happens. That's the list of my top 5 teams that I felt have gotten worse this offseason. So this ends the trilogy of videos of top 5s. Starting next Sunday, the team previews we'll be rolling out. We'll be doing it in order from worst to best, starting off with the San Jose Sharks. Once we get to the 16th seed, we'll do playoff teams and when they were eliminated, until we get to number 1, which is no surprise. This week I am going to put out another video also. I'm not quite sure what it's going to be, but I think one of 2 ideas I've been thinking about doing on the channel. So later in the week, watch out for that. I have plenty of shorts built up to put out, so shorts will continue. And along the way, I'm going to do right before the season starts, I'm going to do a power ranking of teams. There will be plenty of content to come on the channel. We are now on TikTok at Anthony.the.goalie. Thank you everyone who has subscribed, and thank you everybody's support. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And until next time, have a great day.